Yes, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the inaugural movie news segment here at CrackFilm Video, brought to you by CrackFilm.com, of course. My name is Dominick Summa. I'm the editor-in-chief over at CrackFilm.com, and I will be the one bringing you the movie news. Like I said in our introduction video, twice a week. Not exactly sure what those days will be. We'll eventually get some concrete days where we'll tell you exactly what days the movie news these videos will be coming out on. But I have all my stuff ready today. We have some things to talk about. I haven't written anything for the site today. So I thought I'd make our first video today and put it up today. So basically how this is going to work, I'm going to go ahead and read off some of the biggest stories around the world of movie news, and I will talk about them. And I encourage you to leave what you feel about these in the comments below, or find us on Twitter and Instagram at crack_film, or a lot of these will have articles on the site most of the time at crackfilm.com, obviously, so go ahead and comment there if you wish to. But here are the stories I picked out today. Number one, Jurassic World, the sequel to Jurassic World, has been greenlit and given a date. We also have the new trailer for the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 that dropped today. What else we have? Bryan Singer, director of obviously X-Men Days of Future Past and the upcoming X-Men Apocalypse, hinted at a possible X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. We'll talk about that. Yesterday, LeBron James, yes, that LeBron James, no, the other LeBron James, signed a movie deal with Warner Brothers Studios. And a lot of people are thinking that might mean a Space Jam sequel. We'll talk about that. What else? Yesterday, well, technically yesterday, but 2 days ago at midnight, Sony released the new trailer for Spectre, the new James Bond film coming in November. We'll talk about that. And finally, the last one, Jurassic World, more Jurassic World news. Passed the Avengers as the third highest, and to become the third highest grossing movie of all time. So I'll dive into that a little bit. So let's start off with news. Jurassic World is reported by Variety and then confirmed on Twitter a little bit later. Jurassic World will have a sequel, and it's coming out June 22nd, 2018. Some of the details: Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, the two main characters in the original Jurassic World, it just came out a little over a month ago now. They are returning. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard will be back. What else? Director Colin Trevorrow originally said he was not going to be back to direct, and so far that has been confirmed. Trevorrow will be writing the script for the movie, and also is signed on as an executive producer, along with Steven Spielberg, who would also executive produce. Now, talking about what an executive producer actually is, there's a couple different kinds. You have your Simon Kinbergs, right, who's an executive producer on a lot of films, who actually, is there every day on set, working with the director, working with the writers, working with the other producers, and has a very hands-on approach and a very hands-on role to getting the film made. And then you have your other kind of producers, like a Steven Spielberg most of the time, who basically might have a meeting with some of the people, or have a lunch, or send them a postcard or something, a little tip there, and put their name on it as executive producer. Because the name Steven Spielberg in any role brings your film some sort of credibility, and it's good to put on the movie trailer, brought to you by Steven Spielberg. Yeah, even though he might have done nothing on the film, actually. So that's what I tend to believe Spielberg will be doing, but I do believe Trevorrow will have a bigger role. He did a great job with the first Jurassic World, I think, in that he was able to take a franchise that hadn't been around for a while and make a solid movie. I'll call it a solid movie. Was it amazing? No. I mean, I had a lot of problems with it. But it made a shitload of money. A lot of money, which is, I think, our last story about exactly how much money it made. And, money net doesn't always equal quality, but money gets sequels. And especially a franchise that's built for sequels, like Jurassic World, that's what they decided to do. Made a lot of money, the fans generally liked it, and it's only logical to make another one. How will they make another one? I mean, are you going to rebuild the park and invite people back and have something else go wrong? I would find that hard to believe. I bet they're thinking about it right now. I bet they don't even know, right? So, yep, Jurassic World 2. I think it's going to be Jurassic World 2, or I don't think it's going to be Jurassic Park 5. That sounds stupid. So, we'll be getting that, once again, June 22nd, 2018. So, see you in 3 years, pal. What's next? We have, earlier today, the first official trailer for Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 came out. And, well, let's start with how I feel about the first Mockingjay Part 1, which came out last year. You know, I didn't have the site up and running at the time that movie came out. And it's probably a good thing, because my review basically would go something like this. The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 is terrible. I hated it. Well, hate's a strong word. I strongly disliked it. Let's say that. It was not interesting, disengaging, and quite frankly, boring. I saw it on the Thursday night it came out, the Thursday night premiere. I think I saw it around like 9 o'clock, and I was struggling to stay awake. It was boring. I mean, the best action scene in the whole movie is the one they showed in every single trailer. You know, Katniss and Liam Hemsworth character, I think his name's Gale, something like that. They're storming, trying to save someone or something. I don't even remember. I saw it that one time. And she gets the bow and she shoots it at the plane, and the plane comes crashing down. And yeah, that was the best action scene in the whole movie, and you knew exactly when it was coming. Now, the Hunger Games franchise hasn't been built solely upon action, but the first two definitely had more than the last one did, and it was definitely it was made much better, just much better, much more engaging. I felt that Mockingjay Part 1 is all set up for the second one, right? This whole practice of splitting movies into two parts, I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of it. The Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, splitting that into two parts, that made sense. But once again, you're taking a book that was about this thick, really big, splitting that into two parts. You easily could have made two movies. There was so much there that it was easy. Mockingjay, not quite as big of a book. I haven't read it, so I don't know where they split, like as far as where in the book the first movie stopped and where the second movie is going to pick up as far as it relates to the book. But from seeing the first movie, the first part, and then seeing this new trailer, what it's coming off to me as is the first one will be all set up, building the tension, and then the second one that we're about to get in a couple months is going to be all payoff, all the action, right? So, talking strictly about the new trailer that dropped today, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed the first two Hunger Games movies. They're not my favorite. It's not my favorite franchise. I think I've seen the first Hunger Games maybe 3 or 4 times since it came out in 2012. I think I've seen Catching Fire twice, which I still think is the best one. And then I saw that piece of crap Mockingjay Part 1 last year once, and I really have no desire to see it again. But the franchise, 2 out of 3, having 2 movies out of 3 being really good, I consider that a win. So I will be there opening night to see Mockingjay Part 2, and I will judge it accordingly. Hopefully it's more Hunger Games and Catching Fire than it is Mockingjay Part 1. But what I fear is a little bit, I don't fear this too much, but I have a little bit of concern that Mockingjay Part 2 will suffer a bit of the same thing that The Hobbit 3 Battle of the Five Armies suffered. And that was just having a movie full of all action, no stakes. I mean, because Desolation of Smaug, the second part of the Hobbit trilogy, was so good, setting up and the first one was really good too, setting up all this drama, all these characters. And then the third movie, after you waited a year for it, just is all payoff, and you don't even remember what the hell they're even paying off in the first place. Like the conflict between Azog the Defiler, played by Manu Bennett, and Thorin Oakenshield, all the drama between them was completely lost because they didn't even come in face to face in the second movie, right? They met the first one, and then they met again to face off again in the third one, and what you ended up getting was just what appeared to be a fight between two strangers. Like, you even forgot what they were fighting about by the time the third movie rolled around. So I'm hoping Mockingjay Part 2 doesn't suffer from that, which I don't think it will, but the possibility is definitely there. So overall, the trailer had some good action shots, much better action shots than the whole first movie combined did. And I like, obviously, Jennifer Lawrence is a star, A-list talent, and she's obviously the best part of these movies, in my opinion. Donald Sutherland has been a great villain. Not a physically imposing villain, but there's something about that look, that look he gives you, and his voice. Put it all together, and you've got a pretty intimidating villain, despite being an old man. I mean, quite frankly, I wouldn't want to go against him. And so I think this has potential to be the best Hunger Games movie, but I think it also has potential to be the worst. So we'll see which one of those it ends up being, or maybe somewhere in between, in November. Okay, what's next? This is an interesting story. So, as you may know, August 8th, I believe, the Fantastic Four movie comes out. And it's no secret that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men are owned by the same studio, Fox. Now, Fantastic Four, if you go back to those first two movies directed by Tim Story, were a complete disaster. They were awful. They were for kids. Looked like they belonged on, the Channel 5 on Saturday morning with cartoons, They were not good, just not good. So when they scrapped those and started to reboot the Fantastic Four, which we're about to see in August, a couple short weeks, the possibility was always there to cross over with the X-Men, a very well-established superhero franchise, and that's what's hot right now, right? Superhero franchises and crossovers. They're crossing over everything. They got Flash and Arrow on TV. They want to make a monster cinematic universe at Universal with Dracula and the Wolfman and Frankenstein. They want to do all that crap. What else? They're talking about crossing over Jason Bourne and James Bond. That'll never happen, but fun to think about. Talking about crossing over the 21 Jump Street franchise with Men in Black, with the Ghostbusters, and just crossing over is what's hot right now, and for a good reason. It's cool. It's cool to see these characters from different franchises, different worlds come together for one movie. It's cool, but once you start seeing it all the time, it becomes like any other shtick in Hollywood. It can become boring. It can become tired. So, one of the most popular superhero franchises in the world right now is obviously the Avengers. And what was so cool about that was seeing, these people from their individual movies coming together for one, to fight alongside each other, fight each other. And so I think Fox is trying to get in on that. And we always thought they would eventually try and get in on this they have their two superhero franchises, Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Nothing's stopping them. They've owned both of them from putting them in the same movie together. So why not? Well, somebody asked Simon Kinberg and Bryan Singer, a while back about the possibility of this. And basically, I think it was either Singer or Kinberg. I don't remember who exactly said it this way, but they said the problem with doing that would be mostly that the Fantastic Four, the reason they're so cool and the reason they're so captivating is that they're one of a kind. They live in a world that isn't full of superheroes or mutants, that their powers and abilities are so unique to themselves. That's what makes them fantastic, right? They stand out. They don't have Cyclops and Wolverine and mutants, everywhere you look. Otherwise, what's special about the Fantastic Four? They're just more mutants, right? With these special abilities that a lot of people have. So there's nothing special about them. That all makes sense to a certain point, but I don't believe it. I mean, Hollywood is driven by money and greed and profit. And if they thought for 1 second they could make an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover movie and it would make more money, they would do it. And I think it's coming. It will come. Fox has a couple dates locked up in the future, the next couple of years, that are said to be for unannounced superhero movies, like an untitled Fantastic Four spinoff, untitled X-Men movie. Who's to say one of those is not for a Fantastic Four X-Men crossover? Now, this tease that has been reported, Bryan Singer said something about the possibility of crossing over X-Men and Fantastic Four. He said basically they're talking about it, which, no duh, right? Why wouldn't they? But the more interesting he said was, somebody asked how could you bring them together, because X-Men Apocalypse takes place in the 1980s and the Fantastic Four takes place in modern time. And he said how could you get these guys together without rebooting the entire series? And Bryan Singer simply said it has to do with time. That's all he said. It has to do with time, which is, makes sense. Time travel. It's been a mainstay in the X-Men franchise ever since X-Men Days of Future Past, when they reset the whole timeline. But it's not being reset all the way because, we're still going back to the 1980s and we have our first class set of characters still there. So, do I ever think they will cross over? Yes, it will happen eventually. Whether it's with this group of X-Men that we have currently and this Fantastic Four we have currently, I'm not totally convinced it will be those two sets of characters. But I gotta think somewhere down the line they have to try it. It has too much potential to be awesome for them not to try it. So I think somewhere down the line we will get that. What's next? Okay. Now, a movie came out last week called Trainwreck. Maybe you've seen it. I saw it. It was very good. Very funny. Directed by Judd Apatow. Of course, brought us Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin, This Is 40. Great comedies. He has a very specific comedic, sense. Much like Seth MacFarlane. You can definitely tell a Seth MacFarlane comedy. You can definitely tell a Judd Apatow comedy. Well, sometimes mostly by who's in it, right? Judd Apatow always has, your Seth Rogans, your sometimes your Jonah Hills, your Paul Rudds, those guys like that. But Trainwreck starred Amy Schumer, who's an up-and-comer in the comedy sphere. Very talented, very funny. And one of the side characters was LeBron James. LeBron James, the basketball player. Yes. He had a role in the film, playing himself, actually. And to many people's surprise, he was very good. Is he the next incarnation of Daniel Day-Lewis? No. But does he have the potential to be the next Dwayne Johnson? Probably not, but I'd say the chance is there. It's not a big chance. It's not a high chance, but a chance nevertheless. He has, just in that one movie, he showed a lot of natural acting talent and some charisma, charisma is something you can't learn. It's just you have it or you don't. When you get out on screen and you bring this presence with you, it's something that can't be replicated. It's something that can't be learned, something that can't be taught. So when LeBron came out and started impressing all these critics and movie fans alike, people were thinking, hey, this guy could have a legit acting career, once he's done playing basketball. Well, no more than a week after the movie was released, LeBron James signs a deal with Warner Brothers Studios. I don't know if it's a first look deal or it's, if you're going to be in a movie, you have to come to us first, or you have to be in our movie, or whatever. Or maybe they have plans for a certain movie. Who knows? All we know is that LeBron signed some sort of deal with Warner Brothers Studios. And I don't know how I feel about this, because in addition to movies and television, I'm a huge sports fan, and my favorite athlete so happens to be LeBron James. And, I'm obviously happy for him, and I enjoyed him in Trainwreck, but the puzzling thing about this is that he's signing this picture deal in his physical prime. I mean, he's the best basketball player in the world, and also one of the most famous athletes in the world. And, as good of an actor as LeBron James could potentially be, he'll never be as good of an actor as he is as good of a basketball player. I will say that right now. He has a chance to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. There's no way in hell LeBron James will ever be one of the greatest actors of all time. Won't even be in the conversation. Never. Done deal. So it's kind of puzzling to me that he would sign this right now and make it look like he's signing into a long-term acting deal. Now I'm sure this won't interfere with his basketball too much, but you gotta believe it could distract him a little bit. I mean, I don't see what the point of doing this now is when you're still in the best shape you'll ever be for the rest of your life, when you should be focusing on basketball. You know, what you're the best at. Not just what you're good at, what you're the best in the world at. I mean, that kind of opportunity happens to one player in a lifetime. So why would you risk that and risk your highest potential for anything for being an actor? It doesn't make sense to me. You know, if you wanted to wait 5 more years, play 5 more seasons, play 7 more seasons, retire from the NBA, and then get into acting, go for it, LeBron. Go for it. You've earned that. You have some talent. You know, focus on acting when you can't do basketball anymore, even if you wanted to. Because if acting even a little bit interferes with your basketball career, I think that was stupid. I think that was the wrong choice, LeBron James. So we'll see. We don't know the full extent of what this deal means. I mean, I don't think he's going to be popping up in 3 movies every year, but I do think we'll be seeing a lot more of him now than we did in the past. And whether that's a good or a bad thing, you know, for me as a movie fan, I love it. For me as a basketball and a LeBron James fan, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, what a lot of people are thinking this deal means is that we will be getting another Space Jam movie. Of course, the original Space Jam, starring Michael Jordan, is a cult classic. And what a lot of kids in my generation, and even generations before me, and even after me, grew up watching. You know, it's what with Bugs Bunny and the Goon Squad, or Toon Squad. I haven't watched it in a while. But could we see LeBron James in a Space Jam sequel? You know, the report came out a while back that was in fact happening, and then LeBron and his camp shot it down. But it would make sense. I mean, when the original Space Jam came out, they went and got out the undisputed best basketball player in the world, Michael Jordan. And who's the undisputed best basketball player in the world right now? It's LeBron James. So if you're going to do a sequel now, I think it's the best time. You know, LeBron can still jump, he can still shoot, he can still play. And obviously, we found out he can act a little. So right now seems like the perfect time for a Space Jam sequel. If that's all this picture deal is about, is doing another Space Jam, genius, brilliant. But if it's LeBron's first step into his acting career, his full-time acting career, I think it might have been a little premature. So we'll try and update everyone on that and keep that in the back of our heads as we move forward. So any update on that, we'll be sure to comment on it. Okay. Also, last night, or 2 days ago, actually, the new trailer for Spectre, the new James Bond film coming out in November, dropped. And, you know, what I read mostly online, people's reactions to it, is that they really liked it. Mostly overall pretty positive, what people thought about it. As for me, let's break it down. The first half, I didn't like. First half of the trailer seemed like your everyday, run-of-the-mill, ordinary action movie that just so happened to star Daniel Craig and, you know, look beautiful. So that it felt too different than the first trailer, to where I thought that I started to worry that the tone and feeling of this movie would be, you know, too wishy-washy. It would be all over the place, perhaps. But then the second half, it kind of slowed down, and we got a little bit deeper into the whole Spectre organization and got to see Christoph Waltz, actually see his face this time, not just a shadow. And so yeah, if I were to say the first half, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. It's just too generic, too run of the mill, whatever. Second half felt a lot more like the first trailer, which I loved, and brought back that more gritty feeling that we got from the first trailer. And the first 3 Bond films with Daniel Craig as a whole, I thought was more consistent with the second half of the trailer. And don't get me wrong, I'm ridiculously excited for this movie. I can't wait to see it. But if we're talking just about the trailer, the first half I didn't like, the second half I liked. I hope the movie is more like the second half with sprinkles of that first half action. And I think one thing a lot of people said was positive was Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista stole a lot of scenes in last year's Guardians of the Galaxy playing Drax the Destroyer, and when it was announced that he would be coming on to be Christoph Waltz's henchman, Mr. Hanks, in Spectre, I liked the idea, but until I saw him actually in the trailer, I was a little nervous. But then I saw him here, and he looks intimidating. He looks badass. Obviously, he can represent the physical nature of a Bond villain, someone who can legitimately kick James Bond's ass, which we haven't seen a lot of those in the last couple movies. So that'll be an interesting twist, because the last couple villains have been, they're physical, but they've been dealing with Bond more, psychologically, more through tactics and strategy more than actually beating him up. And I think Dave Bautista is the perfect man, now that I've seen him, to go toe to toe with James Bond. Is he the big bad, the brains of the operation? No, but we have Christoph Waltz for that, who just happens to be a 2-time Academy Award winner and one of the best actors we have in the business. So despite my dislike of the first half of the new trailer, still insanely excited for this movie and can't wait till it comes out. Okay, last bit of news we're going to talk about is pretty shocking given everything involved. Jurassic World, that just came out a little over a month ago, is now the third highest grossing movie of all time, only behind Avatar and Titanic. A couple days ago, it just crossed the Avengers. I think Avengers was sitting at like $1.5 billion. It just passed the Avengers to move into that third spot. Wow. If you were to talk to anybody from Universal or anybody from any movie studio, any fan, anybody with half a brain, and ask them, what are the chances of Jurassic World becoming the third highest grossing movie of all time? I would have said you're nuts. No way, right? The Avengers was, not only was it an amazing film, it was an amazing event film. People have been waiting for that for years. They had spent Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Incredible Hulk. They had spent like the last 5 years building up to that crescendo, to that boiling point, to where it exploded into this creation of awesomeness that just happened to make a shitload of money. Jurassic World, on the other hand, had been marketed fairly well, had a pretty new director that nobody had heard of. Excuse me. I will give it this. It starred Chris Pratt, who was an up-and-coming star, probably the biggest movie star we have today, not named Dwayne Johnson. But the last two Jurassic Park movies were awful. Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3, made next to no money compared to the first one, and compared to this one at least. And in terms of quality, weren't that good. Hey, I love dinosaurs as much as the next guy. But to think that people would run out and see it to this point, or to this extent, is mind-blowing. Never saw it coming. Also, what's fifth on that list? Another movie that came out this year, Furious 7. Sits right there, right after Avengers. So it goes Avatar, Titanic, Jurassic World, The Avengers, Furious 7. So 2 out of the 5 highest grossing movies of all time came out this year. And both of them I liked, I enjoyed. But are they The Avengers? No, they're not. Not even close. Not even close. Oh, and then 6th, I think, is The Avengers Age of Ultron, another movie that came out this year. So we have 3 movies in the top 6 that came out this year. And I would say I generally liked them all. But did they deserve that much money? No, not at all. So what does this mean? Well, basically it means, I don't know. Are dinosaurs bigger than superheroes now? Everyone's been thinking, hey, put a superhero in your movie, a Marvel or DC character, and guaranteed $50 million opening weekend and $300 million worldwide, right? Well, now I would say to them, hey, put a T-Rex in your movie, guaranteed $500 million worldwide, guaranteed $100 million opening. Until we see a movie about dinosaurs that doesn't perform like that, I think that's what we're looking at. So that's pretty much it for the movie news I picked out again, running it back down. Jurassic World sequel is coming June 22nd, 2018. Spielberg to produce, not direct, unfortunately. The new Hunger Games trailer for Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 came out today. Looks pretty good. Bryan Singer hints at an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. I think it's going to happen. We'll see. LeBron James, the basketball player LeBron James, signed a picture deal with Warner Brothers. Maybe Space Jam 2. Maybe. What else? Spectre trailer came out 2 days ago. First half didn't love it. Second half loved it. Movie's going to be great. Don't you worry. And then finally, Jurassic World passes The Avengers to become the third highest grossing movie of all time, just like everyone thought. Not really. So that's going to do it for us today. A lot of exciting news coming out recently. I wish we had this up for Comic-Con because I was going nuts that whole weekend, I must say. But I digress. So that's going to do it for us today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any suggestions on how to make it better, please let us know. Drop it in the comments below or find us on Instagram or Twitter at @crack_film and join the conversation. Be sure to subscribe to our channel here. Subscribe to the website on the homepage. Once again, at crackfilm.com. And I'll see you later.